Where to start this one off?
Chad, this is the very first episode of Across the Pond that isn't actually across a pond.
I know.
How crazy is that?
I know. We are not across any ponds. We are kind of in the bushveld almost. There's just been the most magnificent sunset behind us.
Oh, it's been lovely. And the sound of the insects and the animals around us, we really are out in the middle of nowhere. And a really, really peaceful atmosphere. And yeah, it's really exciting, Chad, because we're here for a very special day tomorrow.
Yep.
There's one reason that you're this side of the pond at the moment. And it's been a day that's been 3 years in the making, I believe.
3 years in the making. I mean, yeah, long-time listeners of the podcast will know that I had to postpone my wedding many a time.
Multiple
times. So this is the third time lucky. And tomorrow is actually the day. It's kind of a weird one, even though it's been 3 years in the lead up.
Yeah.
It almost feels like it's kind of snuck up on us in a weird way, even though we've been kind of expecting it and known that it's coming. But it's almost snuck up on us, and all of a sudden, tomorrow is the day. And so while we were just about to have like a chat about, the kind of the monumental kind of occasion that tomorrow is and what it means and advice and all that kind of stuff. Seeing as we had all this stuff here, I figured let's fire up the old camera, fire up the old laptop, and
dust it all off, and come back to the podcast
and hit record. So yeah, let's start off with how you've been, dude. Before we go into me and tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. How have you been? It's been quite a long time. I don't remember when the last episode was.
Yeah.
How's things been with Barry?
Dude, it's been absolutely crazy. I think when the podcast, our last episode was a while ago, like you say, I was just in the beginning of my business. I was just in the beginning of starting this new writing business, and I was very kind of cagey about it because I wasn't sure how it was going to go, and was trying this whole new journey, new adventure, which was uncharted territory at that time. And in the past year and a half, I'd say this business has kind of enveloped my life in good and bad ways. In good ways because it keeps growing and growing and growing to a point that I didn't quite think was possible in such a short space of time. So I'm very grateful for that. But the other side also has challenged my work-life balance and challenged the other parts of my life that have been kind of taken a bit of a back seat in terms of that. And so I remember in the old podcast days, we talk about that balance and talk about having the different components of our life in check. And I feel like I haven't been getting that just right at the moment. But at the same time, it's been a fantastic year for me. Lots and lots of growth personally in the business. And I'm in a position now where I'm very, very happy with where I am. I've got a career that's exciting to me. I've got a business that is fulfilling and interesting. Yep. And I'm slowly trying to get that balance back, trying to get back into the fitness and the music and all of the good stuff we used to chat about that I haven't really spent enough time focusing on. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's been a long year. I think we're all feeling the fatigue of 2022. It's the first proper full year since the COVID debacle, right? So it's the first kind of full year where we get back to semi-normalcy and have had to kind of make our way through this brand new normal in a sense. And so 2022 has been a crazy year for me.
Yeah, well, I'm always so inspired by that story. I mean, not too many months ago, you were with me in my tiny little London flat, and we were talking about the kind of costs, I guess, of doing something like this, of actually, this whole balance discussion is something that I spoke about with friends way back when, and they back then said, it's not possible to really kind of flourish in any field unless you give it your all. Yeah. And I don't know that at that time I was very kind of vehement on the fact that like you can do it all. You can get balance. You can do it all. But the more I think about it, the more I think that's right. Yeah. Any kind of sports professional, business professional, those who have made it have really dedicated their lives to what it is they're trying to achieve. Yeah. And you have made this your life for the last was it 2 years or so? Yeah. And there've been costs, right? There've been costs at doing that, but you've come out on the other side, and it's super inspiring to see what you've built.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's one of those things as well where I think I'm going to struggle with it my whole life. I'm always going to want to try and do 18,000 things at once. Definitely. And we have to try and learn, try and like remind ourselves that instead of trying to do 18 things in parallel, try and have like a season of your life where you dedicate to one thing and make it really, really good and kind of squeeze all the juice out of it, because you got so much time in this life, hopefully, and we're going to have those moments of being able to switch into new seasons and new ways of thinking and new things to do. So hopefully we can keep that in mind as we go forward.
Hopefully, dude. And of all of those things that you said you missed out, you didn't even mention reading.
Yes,
which
yes.
which I know we've spoken about quite a bit. Obviously, a writer likes to read, and so I'm sure, hopefully, at least next year, you pick up some more books. But you were telling me about a couple of books you read this year. Some you really enjoyed. Anything that kind of stands out? There were some technical ones, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, but I've been trying to, obviously AI is still a passion of mine, and so
Sure.
I've still been reading a bunch on AI, and we've seen lots and lots of advancements in AI in the last couple of months in terms of these giant language models where you've got ChatGPT and you've got GPT-3 and you've got these image processing algorithms as well. So there's lots of exciting stuff in that space. So I've been reading a lot in there. I read a personal development book, which I haven't read for a long time, called High Performance Habits, which was a good reminder of some of the core kind of principles of how to live a productive life and how to get things done and how to kind of focus on the right things. So that was a nice reminder. I've also been reading some fiction in the last little bit, which has been good. So
Nice.
so reading a Neil Gaiman book, which I've really been enjoying. But not enough though, Chad. Not enough. You know me, I love to read, and I just when you work with words all day, it's hard to then go in the evening and say to yourself, I'm going to pick up a book. It's much easier to open up Netflix or to kind of chat with a friend or whatever. So it's in December. I'm hoping to have some time off to actually do some reading and get back into it for next year, and thinking quite carefully about how to structure the business going forward so that I can take that foot off the gas a little bit. Yeah.
And those days of writing that you're talking about. I mean, you were telling me earlier today that you spent 8 hours yesterday. 8 continuous hours writing words. How do you have so many words in?
Chad, I don't. It's not recommended. This is a cautionary tale. This is purely because there was a client deadline that was just insane, and been writing this ginormous report for the last couple of weeks, and kind of getting to the end. All of a sudden, you think you're 90% of the way done, but you realize you're 50% of the way done with like 3 days left. So that's why the 8 hours was required, and it just was brute force. I don't think the words are pretty. I don't think the words are particularly life inspiring. But they got the job done, and so I think I'm realizing that I've probably got realistically 4 hours of writing in me per day. I think when I get to the 4 hour mark, I feel that natural decline of I don't know what to say, I've got nothing left to say. And so I think 4 hours is a good spot to be. So I need to get to a point where 4 hours of writing a day is sufficient for my business and to meet all the demands and meet the deadlines.
Totally.
And then I think I'm fine.
Totally.
An 8.5 hour day. I mean, I was muddled yesterday. If you speak to my girlfriend, my brain was absolutely fried. I was nowhere after it, and it takes time to recover from those days. So the 8 hour day, we've chatted about this in the past. The 8 hour day, the one day means a waste of a day the next day.
Yes,
right?
it does. But what it does mean is that, kind of 30 minutes ago, you were able to close your laptop, which, because obviously we are here for the wedding, and it's quite an undertaking for a groomsman. It's quite an undertaking for an MC, which I'm privileged to have in Barry as well. And obviously the bachelor's weekend, last weekend, also quite a lot of time to take out. So it means a lot. But you've been able to close that laptop, which is incredible. And obviously, there's a possibility it might need to be opened again.
Let's hope.
But if not, you are able to now kind of switch off. Be present for today and tomorrow, and then enjoy hopefully the long weekend, because obviously Friday in South Africa is a public holiday as well. So so at least there were some rewards for that big day.
Exactly, and that was the goal: try and get everything done as best we can, so that the next 48 hours we can be as present as possible. And I think that's the most important word. I mean, your weddings is something we've been looking forward to for a long time. There's been a lot of planning that's gone into this, and you got people flying from all around the world to come and be in the same room to celebrate this really special day. And so, the goal for tomorrow is to be present in all cases and to actually make the most of those moments. I mean, I've been chatting to you about this off air, talking about how a wedding can be a blur if you're not careful, right? If you are consistently worried about the details and all the things going right, and you're worried about this and that and the flowers and the decor and all of these things, it's easy to kind of lose sight of what that day is all about. And same for an MC, or same for a guest, in a sense. It's like, instead of trying to record the wedding through the phone or trying to think about it in that way, try and just be present there and just kind of celebrate this wonderful moment. Like these days don't come along very often, right? And hopefully only once in your life.
Absolutely.
And so that is really exciting. So tell me a bit about how are you feeling about tomorrow? I'm sure there's some nerves there. I'm sure there's some excitement there.
Yep.
But how do you feel sitting here today knowing that tomorrow you're getting married?
It's kind of surreal. Like I said, it's been a long lead up to it.
Yeah.
I got engaged in 2018.
No.
Believe it or not. So not quite the
Sure.
5-year engagement, but the 4-year
Close
engagement.
enough, yeah.
Which, to be honest, like when we first got engaged, we said, let's not just get married in 6 months, 1 year. Let's make a long engagement. It was supposed to be a 2-year engagement.
Yes.
And then obviously COVID doubled that up. But tomorrow being the big day, there's definitely some nerves there.
Sure.
Obviously, just because of the gravity of the occasion, I am nervous that it becomes a blur.
For sure.
And in the lead up, you were really good at kind of telling me that you'll keep me in check during the day.
Yeah.
Just to kind of not let it just fly by. I think a lot of people have the kind of cold feet the night before. My mother-in-law, even when she said goodbye to me now when we came out here to this Airbnb, she even said good luck with the jitters. And I kind of I thought about that on the drive here. And there's not an ounce of me that has jitters. So from that point of view, I'm not nervous, because I think I might be making the wrong choice or
Yes.
or anything like that. It's just nervous at the gravity of the situation, and of course, at the kind of performances during the day, if you'd like. So the speech, and we will obviously release this after the wedding. So
Yes.
we're planning a surprise medley,
Mm.
which there's a lot of variables at play. For one, there's a band that's been assembled which has not played together before, and the only time we probably will play together is at the sound check. So there's a lot of variables to go wrong there. But like you keep saying to me, this is not a performance on the headline stage of Glastonbury. This is a performance to my wife, basically.
Yeah.
When this will be happening, which already feels weird to say.
I was about to say it feels so weird. I got chills there.
It feels weird now. But yeah, so like you say, to not focus on the small details, take in every moment and perform for her. Ultimately. So yeah,
that's the biggest thing. Is that I mean I've been lucky enough to MC a number of weddings, and I've seen how everyone wants a piece of you on your wedding day. Every aunt and auntie, every friend, every family member, and it's easy to feel like you have to spend time with each and every person because they've all flown from far away. They've all been a big part of your life. They've all got things to tell you and congratulations and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to focus your time with Carl and with your wife, and that goes for any weddings. That time together is what matters, and you'll always have time afterwards to go and chat with friends and family and catch up and whatnot. And so it's up to you to try and kind of focus in on her and be there together and actually enjoy it, right? Actually just kind of sit there and think, this is amazing that we're here. Like you guys have had a long journey beyond the engagement, like years and years together. You guys are clearly made for each other. And this is a wonderful moment to kind of celebrate that fact and celebrate that through all thick and thin, through all the stuff you guys have been through, you guys have been by each other's side. And that is special, right? And this is not like a click Disney fairy tale moment. It's just a commitment to each other that says, we're in this for life, and we're in this together, and we become a team, right? You kind of been operating as two individuals, and the whole idea is that now you become one unit, a unit that's going to stick by each other no matter what happens in life. And I think that's what life is about. Like these sorts of moments are so powerful because on your deathbed, you're going to remember days like this. You're not going to remember the deadlines you missed at work. You're not going to remember the drama with friends or any of that stuff. You're going to remember days like this. And so, yes, the gravity is there and the nerves are completely natural. But all I want to recommend, and try, I mean, at this point, this stuff, is that just enjoy it and sit back and revel in the fact that you found your soulmate. Like that is a unique experience. That is not something everyone gets to do. It's a privilege and an honor to find that human being that gets you, that understands who you are, that sees you for all your flaws and insecurities and the imperfect person that you are, and is willing to love you despite those things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's stop on that for a second. Like this whole idea of an imperfect person. I kind of, while I was, yes, I'm guilty of still finishing my vows last night. But while I was kind of looking at some, model vows, which obviously you don't want to plagiarize.
Sure.
I the algorithm threw me some other videos, which were kind of these like gloomy views on, not quite gloomy views on, realistic views on marriage. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And basically saying what would a realistic set of vows look like. And a lot of it is talking about how flawed both me and both her are as people. And then another talk came up straight after that of Jordan Peterson talking about the idea of marriage and how it's good to kind of chain yourself to another person and say, hey, we're both imperfect. Let's now kind of trust each other and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We like, you got me, I got you. Cool. And let's now kind of grow together. And let's now that we've done this, be able to actually truly be honest with each other. And I mean, obviously, you'd like to think everyone is honest aside from this, but
sure.
The whole idea that came up sorry, I might be going onto a random rabbit hole.
No, that's what this podcast is all about, Chad. Do you not remember across the phone?
that he was talking about is that when you just live with a person, without marriage, which I've done, is that if someone better comes along, so he's basically talking about this unwritten contract.
Yes.
That if something better comes along, you will leave, and so this idea of marriage, where you can't leave, brings out the most deep form of truth that there is, because you can't leave, and even though yes, technically you can, the idea is that you are chaining yourself to another person, a flawed individual just like yourself, and going on this journey to grow together, be honest with each other, evolve together, because you're not going to be the same person you fell in love with either, and that's also an unrealistic kind of view to hold.
Sure.
So I don't know. What do you think about that? I thought it was quite a different take, especially when I was watching all of the vows. But yeah, I'm quite glad I stumbled upon it last night.
Yeah, I think there's power in the ritual and there's power in the commitment. I don't agree with the people that say marriage is just a piece of paper and it's just like 100%. A contract for law and you have to do it for government reasons and banking reasons and all that stuff. Like, I think that the whole point of marriage is that when you commit to somebody, you're saying to them, I'm going to be with you no matter what. Yep. Like you say, we're going to get old. We're going to get fat. We're going to get ugly. We're going to lose all this magic of our 20s and our 30s, right? Yeah. And we're going to get stubborn and we're going to fall ill and we're going to have family drama and we're going to have all these things that come along with life. And when you commit to someone in advance of that and you say to them, no matter what happens between us, no matter what happens in our lives, we're going to choose to stand by one another.
Yeah.
Right? Every single day we're going to choose to stand by that person, to be loyal to them, to care for them, to look after them, to kind of share in their joy and support them in what they're trying to do. That is something that you don't get with friends. You don't get with your family. You don't get with like that intimacy that you have with a partner who's going to be with you basically every day for the rest of your life. That is really special. And yes, there are going to be challenges. There's going to be hard times. Like, marriage is not easy. It's not something that you choose to do because it's easy. Yep. You choose to do it because it is a representation of the kind of person you're trying to be. You're trying to be someone who is going to love that person in all of what they are and exactly as they are. And this whole idea of chaining yourself to them, the wording has got negative connotations, right? And so I wouldn't say you chain yourself to that person, but you choose to build a life together. Sure. And you do it in front of all your friends and family so that you have some social accountability, right? Like, the reason we are there is to kind of watch you make the commitments and then to help you on that journey, because it's going to be hard, right? And you have to lean on people as you go along. But that idea of marriage and that idea of kind of lifelong commitments frees you. It gives you the freedom to know that you can be yourself. Sure. You can be yourself honest, and you don't have to put on that face anymore. Yep. When you're in the dating world, you put on this fake character and this fake face, try and be the person you think the world wants you to be, or you think that person you're on a date with wants you to be. when you make a marriage commitment to someone, you're saying, I'm free of that, right?
Absolutely.
I can be myself. I can kind of express myself in the way that only I know, like how, and that is something really special. And so I really hope that for you guys. I really hope that you get to experience that freedom. Of course, I'm not there yet, but that freedom, I think, is what can transition you into the next stage of your life, right? You're entering a new chapter of your life. And even though you guys have been living together for a while, and logistically nothing will change, actually everything changes.
Yep, 100%.
Right? Because you're now saying to yourself, cool, this is the decision that's going to guide the rest of my values going forward.
Yep.
We've spoken a lot about the podcast about how the people around you influence you, right? The 5 people you spend the most time around you influence who you are. When you choose a partner, that person is the most influential person in your life.
Yep.
And so it's a difficult decision and it's an important decision. But once you've made it, it takes a lot of the weight off the shoulders. Does that kind of ring true for you?
That does. That really, really does. And I almost feel like you read my vows and my speech. I almost feel like you have. It's so true. I mean, it is such a big choice. But when you found the right person, it's an easy choice.
Easy, right?
It feels easy.
Yeah.
And you know, in hindsight, having had 7 years, to not, I mean, obviously the choice was right at the beginning, but to have had 7 years to look back on.
I disagree.
Right.
The choice is every single day.
Right.
Right. So yes, at the beginning you made a choice to say, let's try this thing. Let's kind of give it a go. But every single day you make a choice to stay with that person. You make a choice to care for that person and think of that person and kind of live your life for that person. So I don't think you make one choice and it's sort of the rest of your life, right?
Yes.
And when you get married, you make one commitment. It's like, no, you make a commitment every day to continue to uphold the vows that you're going to
100%.
to say, right?
100%. And that's why I think kind of writing your own vows is so powerful as well.
Yes.
The ones that have gone back, I don't know, maybe 100 years, 200 years, I don't know what the exact kind of timings are. They do cover a lot, and they are kind of fit for purpose and all that kind of thing. But it's so nice to be able to dig deep into your heart and actually say what you want to say.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that process as well. Throw in a joke or two there as well.
Good.
which is always good fun. I've totally lost my chain of thought.
No, Chad, it's natural and it's exciting. It's super exciting. I mean, I must admit, like obviously I'm going to be a external observer tomorrow, but I think it's really exciting to be in this place, and I'm so glad it's finally happening without masks, and everyone can just kind of go out and party the night away and kind of celebrate this moment. And also, I think what's cool and what I've seen in other weddings is that there's something special about having everyone that cares about you in one place. That is so rare these days. I mean, our friends are scattered all over the world. Our family are scattered all over the world. To have a day where everybody that you care about from different circles of life and different parts of your life come together into one place is really special.
Definitely.
I mean, I felt on the Bachelor's weekend where I got to meet friends of yours from other parts of your life that are not connected to where I'm from, right? And you get to see the different components of who Chad's friends are and kind of see like the different pieces of his puzzle, if that makes sense. And that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was even weirder for me because it's kind of like a colliding of worlds.
Yes.
You know, you kind of set up a new life for yourself on the other, literally the other side of the planet. And you know, you've kind of always just known these two separate pockets.
Yeah.
And that weekend, and certainly tomorrow is going to be this colliding of worlds, which is something I'm really, really looking forward to. But just talking about the kind of reasons we have guests at our wedding.
Yes.
I think those days of kind of inviting everyone you've ever met, having a 200, 300 person wedding in terms of guests. Well, at least for me, I think those days are gone, and I think part of that reason for me is like you said, it's that accountability factor. It's people that you actually interact with and see on a frequently to semi-frequently basis.
Yeah.
That are there to witness you making those commitments and to hold you accountable for them. So for me, the idea of having distant family and people you don't actually interact with on a frequent basis. I don't know. I at least think that's kind of dropped away a bit. I'd be keen to hear your take on that.
So I don't think it's dropped away at all. I think you've got it right.
Right.
The way you guys have approached it, and you said to yourself, cool, I know there's people I could invite that might be family, friends, or extended family, or even friends you haven't seen in a while,
Sure.
or haven't kind of been involved in your life in the last couple of years. And you've chosen to focus in on a smaller, more intimate wedding that includes only those people who actually care about you, right? And actually have been involved in your life in the last little bit. I've seen so much drama in other weddings where people feel pressured, either by family or just by social pressure, to invite people that shouldn't actually be there in the first place. And those guest lists get very bloated and kind of full of people who shouldn't actually deserve to be there. But people feel obligated because that auntie looked after them when they were 4, or that person invited me to their wedding, and so now I have to invite them to my wedding. Or even worse is when that person invited me to be a groomsman, so I feel like I have to invite them to be a groomsman too.
Sure.
And that kind of reciprocation sets up this environment where you've got people at your wedding, and you're paying a lot of money for these people to be there, who actually aren't, like you say, those people who don't hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And so I think you guys got that right. And I wish I saw more of it in the weddings that I've been to, because the guest list can become the source of contention, especially when one partner thinks one thing and the other partner thinks something else, right? And so when you've got that A list and B list and C list, and you're trying to figure out where you're gonna draw the line, I think what you guys have done is superb, and I think that you have to be proud of that, because those are just difficult decisions.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say we're not going to invite those people, but I think it makes for a better day. It makes for a more important kind of wedding. And when you're standing up there and you're looking out across the crowd, you know that every single pair of eyes you see actually cares about you, right? And actually wants the best for you, and is going to be there for you going forward. It takes a village to get these things right? And so you want to know that those people you invite to your wedding are going to be the ones that in 10 years' time, when you're going through a rough patch, are going to be willing to pick up the phone and say, Chad, what's up? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Can I help?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, dude, for one. I appreciate that. I really do. I do wonder whether it's kind of the evolution of how many people we know.
Yes.
You know, as kind of travel has become a thing,
For sure.
People don't really stay in their hometowns anymore, and kind of family life has drifted, I think as well, unless families make a really big, intense effort to kind of keep those values strong.
Yeah.
And in my case, that definitely has happened. So, hard decision, like you said. I agree. I think it's the right decision. It's one of those where I kind of thought the number would be bigger, but ultimately, like you said, it's not about the number.
Yeah.
It's about who you interact with frequently, who's going to be there to pick that phone up, when or if things go a little bit rocky. So really looking forward to it. It's coming up very, very soon. I'm also conscious that if anyone is watching us, we are in
it's gotten very dark here, as we're in the African wilderness out here, and so
load shedding
and load shedding as well. Yes. So if you haven't been following, South Africa's been going through a rather rough patch, Chad. And load shedding has reached a really frustrating level, to put it lightly. And so a lot of our days are punctuated by these sorts of darkness and lots of candles around. And we've kind of resorted to having candlelit dinners every night, Chad, which is very romantic. And also, so we are very dark. So if you are watching on YouTube, we do apologize for that. But hopefully the sultry voices that you're hearing through your headphones will make up for that. Yeah,
absolutely. If I pivot quickly.
Yes.
Super keen for the wedding. Just a quick pivot.
Yes.
I feel quite guilty, actually, because we kind of left our listeners without a final episode, which I did try to plan in, let's just say. But I feel guilty because I was actually the driving force behind us taking a pause from the podcast, and the reasons at the time were to focus on my more promising prospect, my YouTube channel. And this year has been so hectic that I haven't even done that. So I feel guilty on that front. But I suppose in a way it's kind of giving you the space as well to double down on the business, and yeah, that's obviously going really well. So yeah, I mean, yeah, how's it felt not having Across the Pond in your lives? I mean, I did get quite a few messages from listeners saying, well, "What happened? Where have you guys gone?"
Yes.
Yeah.
I've missed it. I really have missed it, to be honest. I think the sorts of conversations we used to have were not the sorts of conversations I have with my other friends, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So we used to talk about all the things that fascinated by us, and no matter what weird and wonderful stuff I brought to you, you were very patient and you bared with me, and you kind of we talked it out, right? We talked about important things, about our lives, about the world, but also like the less important things, the funny things we found or the interesting things that we found. And I think without that weekly schedule of thinking, I mean, it was stressful. Let's not get around that. Like, try and figure out what are we talking about this week, and trying to make it interesting and kind of all encompassing and trying to focus on different things. It was challenging, but it gave me at least a reason to keep up to date with what's going on.
Yeah.
Keep up to date with what's going on in the world and kind of follow the bits and pieces that were there. And there's something about like a publishing schedule that keeps you on the straight and narrow and doesn't let you, like, we knew every week Across the Pond was coming out whether we liked it or not.
Yep.
So we had those nights where we were absolutely slammed with everything, sitting at 10 p.m. in the night trying to record an episode, even with like fried brains, right? And so yes, I do miss that, but it's totally understandable why we took a break. I think that both of us were hitting these weird moments where we had to kind of throw everything into what we were doing.
Yep.
And even though you didn't get as many YouTube videos as you would have liked, you still saw nice channel growth, and you still saw nice growth in those videos, right? And of course, the wedding has been months and months of planning, so you can't expect to be able to keep all the balls in the air. And it's kind of ironic because we talked a lot about focusing on one thing, right?
Yep.
And not trying to do 3,000 things. And the podcast is one of those 3,000 things.
It's true.
And I think both of us were a little bit frustrated by the lack of growth in the podcast.
100%.
Frustrated by the fact that, yes, we had amazing friends and family and a small group of listeners around the world who had joined in, but we hadn't yet become Joe Rogan just yet, right? And so, it's hard to put all this effort in and not see that J curve up and to the right. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a factor. But yeah, I miss the conversations, man. I miss getting to chat with you so often. I mean, I think after we stopped the podcast, our relationship faded a little bit, right?
It did.
Because we didn't have that opportunity to sit every week and kind of chat about these things. And so I miss that.
No, same. 100% same. I, for one, I now live under a rock. I hardly look at the news. And that has some pros, from a mental health perspective. It's, when the planet is doomed, it's quite good to not know what's going on, but obviously not good. Not good to not know what's going on. Yeah. I miss it as well. In terms of the talking, one of the big reasons why I started the podcast, why I asked you if we could start the podcast, was so that I could talk more, get better at talking and articulating thoughts. And I noticed that has dropped. My ability to hold a conversation and make sense throughout has dropped significantly. So much so that I've recently downloaded an app called Elevate. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, what's Elevate?
Yeah, so it popped up on my Instagram actually, and it's a whole bunch of these like mental games.
Okay.
So it's from language to maths and arithmetic to reading, like speed reading, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've actually taken out a 1-year subscription to try and kind of just oiling these cogs. If you don't use these skills, they kind of drop.
Yes.
But the podcast was a key. That was a key reason that I was keen to do it, and I definitely noticed some degradation after that. The other thing is, yes, I didn't do the YouTube channels, but looking back on this year, there were a couple of other things going on as well. I did a half Ironman in Portugal. Yes,
you did.
I remember talking about the first one I did with you, and how great of an experience it is. It still is a great experience. Mm-hmm. So again,
congratulations for that. By the way,
thank you, dude. Hopefully, one day we can do one together.
Sure, that is a hope, Chad. That is a hope.
Good. I mean, one day. So there was that, and then I shot my first wedding. Actually.
Yes, that's so exciting. How was that experience? Because for those who don't know, Chad has obviously been a very passionate photographer and videographer for a long time, And I've been trying to push you to get into some of these
Yep.
more professional, and trying to take it more professionally and do some of these paid pieces of
Totally.
work, or at least kind of do work for other people.
Mhm.
Because I can see how much talent you have and how skilled you are at what you do.
Thank you, dude.
And so it was so exciting to hear when you told me I'm doing my first wedding. So how was that experience? I believe it was in the most picturesque place possible.
Honestly, so in the lead up to it, okay, sorry, I will answer the question.
Yes.
In the lead up to it, I actually approached a South African photographer who I really admire her work,
Mhm.
and asked if she'd be open to doing a mentorship. So just a one session,
Mhm.
just to kind of boost the confidence levels a bit, I think, which I did. And her name is Claudia Takes Photos. And yeah, I mean, when we spoke about kind of the typical photographer's journey to photographing weddings,
Mhm.
it's typically a lot longer. There's a lot of second shooting. So
Okay.
shooting for an established photographer and learning from them on the ground,
Yes.
as the day unfolds and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, the experience was completely different. And she was kind of, shocked almost in a way that, my first wedding was my first wedding. I went in straight cold.
Mm.
But on the other hand of that, just to give a bit of context, so I shot for a set of friends
Mhm.
who were getting married in Portugal. And they basically just covered my costs to fly out there and stay there and all that kind of stuff. And it was also a smallish wedding, so it was kind of 30 people.
Mhm.
So I kind of said to myself, okay, obviously I'd like to be more confident at what I
Yes.
do, but if things go badly, it's friends. They're not paying for it in terms of like actually paying for my time.
Yeah.
And it's a small wedding. So, I kind of had these like mitigating factors.
Mhm.
But in all honesty, looking back on it, it was incredible. I did really enjoy it. To be able to capture, we've spoken about the kind of gravity of what a wedding means, but
Yes.
to be able to kind of be a fly on the wall
Mhm.
for someone's most important day of their lives, is something really special.
Mm.
And I have no doubts that for wedding photographers, it's an emotional roller coaster. Really, there's happy moments on the day, and there's sad moments on the day as well when you come to speeches and people are honest and talk about the kind of challenges of life and all that kind of stuff as well. And
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just one of those days that hits all of the feels. And so. Obviously, after the day, I was absolutely shattered,
I'm sure.
exhausted. I also took 9,000 photos, which I probably
9,000 photos.
Yeah. I overshot. There's no doubt.
Wow, Chad. 9,000 photos. That is amazing.
I mean, that's one of those things where you want to make sure you're going to get it. So you
don't want to miss the
overshoot.
shot, right?
You
Yeah.
overshoot. In any future ones, I'll definitely be
Shoot
more
less.
cautious of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, the venue was a dream for anyone. Any established photographer would dream to get that. And for me, with no experience to get that, I still can't believe it. I didn't tell the wedding planners that it was my first time until the end, until they saw the gallery.
Good.
And they were shocked. They were really shocked that it was my first time. So yeah, I think I told you when you asked me, because you actually did message me like right on the day, straight after the day, which I really appreciated. You asked me how it was, and I kept having these wow moments. Like not just wow moments, but moments where I involuntarily said wow,
Yes.
like out loud, just driving through, and it kind of reminds you as well how beautiful this planet is, how beautiful life is, and how special it is, and how it should be cherished, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it definitely wasn't just a job, if you'd like. The editing, however, is a slightly different.
Because I suppose all of that magic, all of that picturesque, all of that energy, all of that, like you said, the full human experience that you get to see at a wedding. When you're back home in front of your computer, a couple of weeks later, I'm imagining that same energy is not there, Chad.
Yeah. Well, let's just say the 9,000 photos became 1,000 photos.
Good.
Which is better.
Triage, yes.
But yeah, I mean, basically, how I did it is I released a sneak peek gallery, which is 135 photos or something like that, which is still quite a lot, I think. Those were my best and favorite photos of the day, and so I loved editing those. It was I thoroughly loved it because I could now present the highlights of the day.
Yes.
And obviously just being able to see like on a computer, because the tiny little screen on the back of the camera, like while you're shooting, you kind of get a feel for what you're capturing, but you don't really quite grasp it until it's there in its full resolution and color and all that kind of stuff. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. Now that I'm down to the 1000, it's slightly less enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's also hard to try and make sure you're not duplicating. So I think I'm going to
Yes.
still further whittle down that 1000. But yeah, I'm really keen to be able to, at the end of it, have this portfolio of work, and ultimately to present it to the couple as well, and kind of get together with them and see them reliving that day, which I think is quite special to be able to do for someone. So yeah, all in all, great experience.
Would you do it again?
I was just about to actually answer that. Yeah, I definitely would. Obviously, it's at the stage now where it's a matter of kind of trying to figure out how to incorporate this a bit more into life. It seems as though weddings have a season, so the kind of summer season for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So trying to, because ultimately it is a time intensive task
For sure.
but it's a definite possible career. There's no doubt about it. Photographers can do fairly well, and you and I have spoken about the kind of need to feed your soul rather than just chasing a bigger bank balance. So yeah. In short, yes, I would. How or when exactly that happens, I don't know quite what that looks like, but it's definitely a direction I could see myself going through.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Chaz Study is available for all wedding bookings. Use promo code across the pond to get 10% off your photography and videography needs. That's super exciting, man. Congrats. And I think it's a small step. I was very happy to see you were taking it. And I'm hoping it's the first of many. I hope that you find a way to kind of integrate it into your life. I know it's challenging because you feel like your finance career is in a whole different ball game. It's just hard to kind of grift between the two. And so that is a challenge. But I'm with you 100%. And I think that your pictures speak 1,000 words, as cliche as that is. It's like your pictures are good enough to put yourself up there against anybody.
Thank you, dude.
And so I think that anyone would be lucky to have you as their photographer, not just because of the skill you bring, but also the understanding of what the day means.
Yeah.
And I think photography, like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of it is understanding what is the emotion you're trying to capture?
Sure.
What is the story behind the photo? It's not just enough to look good and have the right color grading and the right kind of focus and all that stuff. And it's about understanding what is the story you're trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And when they look at it, do they feel like it represents them in their kind of authentic, raw self,
That's
right?
exactly it.
Even in a world where everything is filtered and everyone's trying to put on their best face, you hope that your wedding photos capture a little bit of the magic of the day. We've spoken about how it can be a blur, and often those photos are the only things you have left, right, afterwards. They're the only things you can look at and try and kind of place yourself in those shoes that you wear on the day. So that's really exciting.
I mean, that's exactly it, dude. You nailed it there. It's about storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy to kind of make it just about poses and recreating a shot you saw. But I mean, ultimately, you want to capture the essence of the people in front of you.
Yes.
And I must say, it is impossible to take yourself out of that equation. I mean, every one of us has a frame of reference, and so experiences, views on life, all of that kind of stuff. It bleeds into your work. It does.
Yeah.
So if you do treat every single moment as a kind of a precious moment, and you try and kind of read the room and know the couple, I think you can come away with something that is quite special to them, and for anyone else really looking at it. So so I think that's what all photographers aspire to do. I mean, you in your writing, right? I mean, stories, the importance of stories. To be honest, I when I was looking for something to read, I kind of searched the bookstores for kind of storytelling stuff, and there's so much out there.
Yes.
Just because it is such a key part of what makes us human.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever the medium, telling stories will never die.
And often people lose that in the pursuit of perfection, right? They're trying to make something that looks perfect or sounds perfect or kind of has all the right components of status or of whatever you're trying to communicate.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, a good story is going to win through all of that. And like you say, we're storytelling creatures as humans. I mean, marriage is a story we tell ourselves, right?
It is.
Even though you sign a contract and you have this commitment from everybody, it's a story you're telling yourself that you're going to believe for the rest of the world,
100%.
rest of time. Sorry, and a lot of mental health is the stories you tell yourself in your brain. So we are storytelling creatures, and we derive meaning from the stories we tell ourselves about something that's happened. And so a photo is like this amazing snapshot of a single moment that can have an entire kind of novels and novels and novels of stuff behind it, right? And if you're that person and you understand the context, you understand what that photo means, it can be very, very powerful. And so that's what's so special about what you guys do in terms of capturing those moments. And my only hope is that tomorrow you use your brain, you take some mental photos of that kind to make sure that you capture each and every moment of your wedding.
Definitely.
And yes, while there'll be a real photographer there taking actual photos, the mental photos are also what matters. And to try and take those moments of calm and peace and gratitude, to realize that as you look around you and you see the people who have gathered to celebrate your commitment, to celebrate your love, try and take those mental images, because that's what's going to last for the rest of time. And yeah, it's such a special day that photos still don't do it justice, right? It's your memories and your kind of your mental image of what that day is all about.
Yeah. And if anything, the photos bring you back to that place where you can then suddenly re-see the hues of light and the kind of smell the smells and hear the sounds of exactly where you are. I mean, where we are right now is actually not far away from the venue, so you can hear the crickets in the background. Yeah. And that will kind of transport you back. So yeah, I think that's a great place to.
That brings us full circle, Chad. That brings us full circle. It's been so cool to sit here. It's been so good to see you, man. It's like
likewise, dude.
It's tough when this ginormous pond separates us. And yes, you can do Zoom calls and you can do video calls, but there's something 100%. Special about being in person and spending the last weekend with you and the boys, just getting up to mischief out there was good fun. Yeah. And it's been so nice to kind of get to see the whole part of the Chaz Sturdy ecosystem. Awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of friends I've met of yours, and I meet them and they're all unique in their own way, but they've got this commonality that they've somehow made an impact on you and you've made an impact on them. And so yeah, I'm very excited for tomorrow. I've got lots of cool stuff up my sleeve, so hopefully I can deliver. And I think that no matter what happens tomorrow, no matter what goes wrong, no matter what goes right, no matter how things go, whether it meets your expectations or not, I would just encourage you to try and be as present as you can and just kind of just enjoy it. Like days like these, like I say, don't come along very often. And so the more you can be present and just kind of sit back and enjoy and relax and revel in this fact that you're marrying your soulmates, I mean, what's better than that, right?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming along to all of the events in the lead up and kind of after. And yeah, that means a lot to me. Obviously, this friendship grew on this podcast.
Yes.
So yeah, so like you say, to kind of involve you in all those other kind of parts of it really means a lot. So yeah, really appreciate it. And yeah, man, it's been good. It's been good to kind of get on the airwaves again, and hopefully the listeners enjoy it too. If anything, this is always such a great kind of time capsule.
Yes.
So. To be able to listen back to this, it's kind of crazy to go back in 20 years' time to the night before my wedding and listen to, the state I was in.
Yes.
Is super special. So yeah, appreciate that we have stamped that down together, and thank you again, dude.
Of course, and that brings us to the end, I think, of episode 86, if I'm not mistaken, of Across the Pond. It's been such a treat to be back on the microphone, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, you're an absolute legend, as always. We appreciate all the messages, all the messages of where are you, why have you stopped, where's the podcast? We appreciate that, and so we hope you've enjoyed this little peek into a very important day in Chad's life. And we're looking forward to tomorrow, and we hope that it's going to be an absolutely wonderful celebration. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us in the dark if you're on YouTube. And we'll see you next time on Across the Pond.